Morning, guys. Mark Ferrasci, Protect Dog Training in Shohei. We're going through some trick training. So we spent about 7-8 days going on this one trick. And now it's at a point where I'm going to start broadening and growing the dog. We're going to start other tricks. And I did a video on it yesterday, and we're going to kind of I probably won't post that one, but I'll show you this one, and then you'll start to understand what I'm talking about. But here we go. Good. All right, so this trick is basically pretty much there, okay? So it's basically getting him to understand that correct, couche, correct, good, correct is straight up and then nope. And right away he's anticipating what's going to happen next, which says he's learning, right? So we're going to go that way, good. And we've now got him laying his head down, good. Nope, couche. I got to come up with a word for it. Good, good. Yep. So I've got to flow through this and get right, left, and center, right? Good boy, good. All right, so we want to start growing the dog. So we're going to start moving off of this one, couche, and then just kind of firm it up as we're going along and keep coming back to it and making it better and better. But for the most part, the fundamentals of the trick are there, and the hand signal is there. If I go here, see where he goes? Good, okay? If I go the other way, I can't do it from here because I've been breaking it and then coming back to it. So I'm not going to ask him to go all the way back the other way. Yep, I'm just going to reset and start from the center, right? Good. Later, I can stretch it to that where I try to get him to go from all one side, then flip to the other side. You can do it, but it's going to take work. Couche. Good. Now I'm going to hit the other hand. Same thing. And there he goes, right? Good. And then we've also got emphasis on head down, right? Good. By doing the duration, good, in conjunction with something you already knew, which was hopping around. Good. Okay, so that's that one. Yesterday, I started playing with the sit pretty and starting to tie together what we call a compound exercise, which means it's going to be done, something is going to happen, but it's not just one thing. It could be 2 and 3 things all strung together to complete a complete behavior, right, that we're trying to get the dog to do. So in that context, sit pretty or bang your dead is the name of the trick, where I say, stick him up. The dog sticks up his feet. He puts himself into a sitting pretty posture. And then you say, bang, and the dog falls over dead. And you end up with a trick that's kind of compound with 3 different things. You got to have him drop to his thing, go to his side, and then finish the trick at the end with an explosion or whatever you're going to do to get the dog to realize that's the end of that trick, right? Compound. It's strung together with 3 and 4 things that you're working on. All right, so I don't know what my camera sets, but I figured I'd move this. So yesterday I took him out and we started to sit pretty. He's not giving it to me at all because he's a little older and he's already got all these other things that have been conditioned into the animal that are in conflict. What does that mean? When I ask for here, I ask him to come and sit in front of me. He's got to look up when he's sitting right in front. He doesn't want to reach his feet up into the air to go into that next posture. So I'm going to have to work on that. It's going to take me a little bit of work to get there, probably a lot more than 7 or 8 days. It could take, I've had tricks, like I had one that I taught my dog to limp across the room. And I started with the bitch. She was my little Australian Shepherd Dingo. My circus dog is what I called her, at my side. And I started by tapping her paw and getting her to just bring up the paw with her at my side. And then I needed to progress it where I started to get away from the dog and ended up where the finished product was that I could have her all the way across the room and tell her, princess, limp. And I would say, limp. And I would tap just like I started with tapping her toe here. I had progressed it all the way across the room, and I could give her a hand signal from across the room, and she understood it. She'd raise her paw up into the air, and she'd limp like she was hurt all the way across the room. One of the hardest tricks I've ever taught, and it took me a lot of work. And looking back at it, I realized how much knowledge I didn't have to try to do it. But there's an instinct in me, an ability to be able to communicate to dogs that's always been there. But now you add in science, you add in all your vocabulary, no, good, and yes. It's a set vocabulary that we're teaching the dog. Communication baseboard is like I say. I've been saying communication baseboard from way back when I was a kid. I knew that it was putting together a bunch of things to create a communication, but you had these little key spots of no, good, and yes. And I didn't use no, good, and yes back then. I used a lot of my voice tone, a lot of body language. Good, good, good. A lot of my voice tone was put into it because back then we were yank and crank. That's pretty much all we're doing. We're trying to offset the dog from getting mopey in what I call sad sack, right? Where the dog's belly is lying on the ground and they're very unhappy, and their body language and everything denotes the unhappiness. That's what we got when we did the yank and crank back in the old days. It doesn't mean that aversives don't have their place. I use aversives and I use correction in my thing, but I mix it in. I don't live in that world. I don't stew in that stew anymore like I used to when I was a kid. That's all I did. I didn't even use food back then, right? All I did was my voice a lot of men, and I would get the dog through that sad sack stage and get them to be proud of their work and to reach to the other side. And I just took doing it with enough dogs that I started to feel and sense how to get the dog through what we were doing to them and get them to do the work. And then nowadays we use a lot more motivation, a lot more food, toys, tugs. We're a lot more aware of all kinds of different things because now the science has really come into play with it, right? And so when you look at things and you hear us talking about purely positive, and we're kind of dogging on them and they're dogging on us and demonizing us, we all help each other whether we realize it or not. Those on the purely positive side live in a realm of a lot more science attitude and think that hot dogs will work with everything, right? They don't want to do any punishment or any aversive at all. In reality and truth, dogs have a lot of drives that'll end up where you have a squirrel go off here with a dog like this and have this dog wanting to chase that squirrel. You think he's going to come back if I have, here's a hot dog. Ain't going to work, right? We have to deal with the drives. We have to deal with the instincts and the drives of the animal that we're dealing with. And a lot of times that means that we need to have aversive, but we mix it in properly. So example of that, aversives with e-collars. When I take an e-collar, I have a whole program that I do a very slow, methodical layering in that collar, and I don't teach him anything with that collar. All I do is reaffirm it and reaffirm what he already knows. You're not learning anything new with the e-collar because you don't have what you need as far as leash pressure and tactile type of things that you can use. An e-collar, all it has is a little tingle, right? And then we can turn it up to a point that it hurts. There's a punishment ability with it, right? Doesn't mean I use it. I don't live in the world of punishment with an e-collar. I treat it like it's a signal, and I teach the dog to turn that collar off at a very low stimulation. So I have a tool to be able to use, and now I can reach out from a distance, and I have an asset that benefits me tremendously, and I can give the dog a lot more life because I can let him go because I know I can call him back with no matter what happens. I can get him to come back to me because I've conditioned it properly, and I've layered in the collar properly so that it's very non-abusive, right? Those that are using it improperly because they don't know what they're doing, and they're getting frustrated one day and they start thinking that punishment is going to work. That's human nature. Humans are the ones that have that nature in our psychology. We want to punish behavior away. We want to spank that child. No, you're not going to. And it's always from that stage that we come from. Unless you learn and you have a lot more knowledge behind you, human psychology, or you understand the learning theory. I always tell people to go to YouTube and type in learning theory and start really understanding the basics of learning theory when it comes to animals, humans. Humans are animals too, whether we like to realize it or not, right? All animals on God's green earth learn very similar in how we can approach their learning, right? So he doesn't want to come up off his front feet right now, so I've got to play with that. It's going to take me a good distance of time. Like I said, it took me months to get Princess to limp across the room and to really tailor that. Right now, we've got him doing his lay down, good, and doing what he's doing now, good, with the rudimentary luring. And we're getting into a lot more luring because wherever the head goes, the body must follow. So the dog's got to follow that lure, and it gives me a lot more to work with. So let me stop yakking, get into my yakking phase. Yep, good boy, good. And we're going to start trying to teach him something new, and I'll keep coming back to this other one and keep firming it up, making it better and better until he gets better and better at this. But I've got the fundamentals on this, where he's going right, he's going left, based on my hand signal that I'm giving him, right? So, yep. Good. Couche. Couche, correct? Nope. Correct. 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 Oh, you little shit. Good boy. Good. Are you ready? Ready? Good. Good. Good criteria. I've got to make sure that his back is always laid out like that. I don't want just putting the head down. It's got to be the whole thing. Right? Good. Yep. And so right now I'm probing. I'm seeing what he knows and how he's responding to it. All that good stuff. So let me move this. Get it out of my way. I come back. I just want to get right and left in this so that I can flow to the next thing. So I'm going to mix this in. I'm going to have 3 or 4 things. Remember, the powers of 2s and 3s. I don't just do one thing and stay static in that one option. I bounce around and come at things differently. Yay, good boy, good. So I'll keep playing with this constantly and keep firming it up, making it better and better. But the fundamentals are here. Good. Shohei. Yep. Good boy. Good. All right. So yesterday, again, I went to the bang you're dead trick, and the first one of that is compound, behaviors that we're trying to get the dog to do with 3 or 4 different parts to it, and then put it all together is when we're done. But he's not giving me what I need in that regard, so I'm going to have to play with this. So I'm trying to get him to come up off his front feet and actually jump for the food so that I can start getting him to stay there with my good duration marker and start teaching him to stay up with his 2 paws up, looking and sitting pretty, so that I can take it to bang and he falls to his side, and then you're dead. I had a dog that I did it with, and I taught him you're dead meant to roll to his back and then put his paw up in the air. And he did that very well for me. It was pretty cool. And that was a natural thing for the dog to do. He did it on his own, and I caught it with a clicker. Shohei. So, yep, good boy, good. This is about flow and working, getting his mental state of mind in the right place so he's conducive to learning. Yep, come on, good boy, good. Yeah, good boy, good. And that's why we go to other things. We mix it in to get his drive state and his state of mind in the right spot. Good. All right, good boy, good. All right, good boy, good. We're going to take this out of here too, because I know the camera set's pointing on that, so we're just going to move it because I need the flat ground, because we're not going to do that anymore. We're going to end it with and this one's real common, but it gives me something else to play with that's going to go into my luring. So I'm going to take my feet, I'm going to step out with my right foot. I'm going to show him the food, and I'm going to take that hand and put it right up underneath my leg so I get him to go there. Let's take the next leg, and I'm going to do the same thing. And I'm going to keep working on that until he starts anticipating what's going to happen next within the trick, right? Which is the next thing that happens is the arm comes to the next spot. And then I'll fade those arms away and slowly but surely get him weaving. And then I'll add a word to it. We don't add a word in the beginning. One more thing to confuse the dog. He doesn't know what weave means, right? Weave is my command. And a lot of people use the same thing. They say weave, and the dog will weave like that. So we'll keep working on it. But this is more about mental states of mind and getting the flow within the luring and the happiness within where we're working. We'll mix this in. Nope. Oh, yeah. Yes. Good boy. Good. One leg out. Good. Good. Bring the other one here. Nope. Nope. Good. Good. We'll keep playing with this. Remember, this dog doesn't have a clue. I think somebody's already played with this, but we'll find out. Good. Good. There you go. Good. Nope. Nope. Good, good. There you go. Good boy. And all I'm doing is giving a no marker, and then he doesn't get any more food, and I just flow to the next thing. So we'll keep working with this one, and then I'll add a word to it once I get him flowing with a weave. And I'm only putting this in to have one more thing that I can flow and get his mental state of mind into a flow pattern that makes him happy and have fun. All right? Good. Very cloudy and overcast today, but every now and then the sun comes out and I feel the heat. I started a lot later today because it was so ugly and it was cool. So I figured I didn't have to run from the heat. A lot of times I get out here at 5:30 in the morning and I'm trying to beat the heat before it gets hot. That's why I get up so early and do that. But the weather started to get a little ugly. We had some rain showers yesterday. I think we're supposed to have some today. But you never know out in the desert. I always like to joke with people. You could be on one side of a road and you could have a squall going, a heavy rain, walk across the street and you'll be dry as a bone. That's the desert for you. You never know when it's going to rain. We got clouds everywhere, but it's not raining everywhere. It'll rain in little patches. And we may not see any rain at all. It may rain in the next grid square over. Good. Yep. Good boy. Good. There you go. Good boy. Good. Yep. Good boy. Good. And then we're going to bring in the ball. Okay. So the ball is what he lives for. So this we always, yes, always bring in the ball work so we get his mind in another state of mind in regards to our impulse control out that we've been working on, right? Good. Good. Shohei out. Good. Kusha. And we've got a good start on that too. And you'd have to really understand where his brain was at when he first came in. He was what I call a Tasmanian devil. No impulse control at all and did nothing but a lot of bite work as a puppy and as a dog. And that was his whole world. So he winds up like you wouldn't believe. When we go back to the bite work, which we're going to do soon here, this dog will be all that and then some. Yes, good boy, good. And then we'll just keep weaving in the other aspects of our training to get control. Nope. I see. Good. Kusha. Good. Get it. All right. So that's where Shohei's at. We're going to start adding some other tricks. I'll start adding things to it, and we'll talk about it more as we go along and why we're doing it. Like right now, I'm doing that weave for one reason, to get him in flow and doing things with him and keep him into a luring state of mind, right? Out. Yes. Good boy. Good. It's all about states of mind, guys. It's all about where the dog's head's at in the work. It really is. Out. And your job as a trainer is to manipulate that dog's drive states and how you work the animal and how you flow into the work to keep him happy and keep him in a very good learning state of mind. So he learns and grows. You're growing the dog, right? Good, Bruno. Listen to me. Shohei, good. Shohei, get it. All right, Mark Ferrasci, Protect Dog Training, signing off. Have a good day, guys. We got more to do. We'll start showing you more of it as we go along. Talk to you later.